very good morning, dear children. I hope you all are fine and safe with your family. Students, today in Civics, we will be learning a new lesson, that is lesson number 5, and name of the lesson is Fundamental Rights Part 2. Fundamental Rights Part 2. The rights of Indian citizens included in the Constitution are right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and education rights, and right to constitutional remedies. Fundamental rights. The equal rights guaranteed by the Indian Constitution to create an atmosphere conducive to the development of self as well as entire society is called as fundamental rights. In the previous chapter, we have studied about the rights of liberty, equality, and the right against exploitation. In this lesson, we will be learning about the right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, and we shall get acquainted with the judicial protection available for the fundamental rights. So students, what is the meaning of fundamental rights? The equal rights guaranteed by Indian Constitution to create an atmosphere conducive. Conducive means suitable, okay, to the development of self as well as entire society is called as fundamental rights. Students, if you remember, that is fundamental rights part 1, the previous lesson, we have learned about in detail right to liberty, right to equality, and right against exploitation. So in this lesson, that is part 2, fundamental rights, we will be learning in detail about right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, and also we will be learning about judicial protection available for the fundamental rights. Right to freedom of religion. India is an important secular country in the world. It is included in our right to freedom of religion. According to it, each Indian citizen is free to practice any religion and to establish institutions for religious reasons. So what it means? It means, as we all know that India is an important secular country in the world, it is included in our right to freedom of religion. Each citizen is free to practice any religion. That is, we can practice any religion of our choice, and also we can establish institutions for religious reasons. In order to broaden the scope of right to freedom of religion, two things are not permitted. State cannot impose religious taxes that might be used to encourage a particular religion. That is, our constitution forbids religious taxes. And second, religious education cannot be made compulsory in educational institutions that receive aid from the state. So students, what it means? It means that in order to broaden the scope of right to freedom of religion, two things are not at all allowed. So what are those two things? First one is, state cannot impose religious taxes. Okay, so they cannot impose religious taxes which might be used to encourage a particular religion. That is, constitution forbids religious taxes. That means it is not allowed. And second one is, religious education cannot be made compulsory. So it is not compulsory that religious education to be made compulsory where in educational institutions which receive aid from the state. Next, cultural and educational rights. we can see that there is great diversity of festivals, food and ways of life in our country. You may have noticed the differences in the different wedding ceremony that you attended. All these things are part of our culture of different communities. Constitution has given the different communities the right to preserve their cultural uniqueness. Cultural and educational rights are provided to protect the language, script and culture and thereby preserve India's diversity. So what it means? Constitution has given different communities the right that they can preserve their cultural uniqueness. Cultural and educational rights are provided to protect the language, script and literature and culture and thereby preserve India's diversity. They can also establish institutions for the development of their language. I hope students, these two things, that is the right to freedom of religion and cultural and educational rights, must be clear with each and everyone. Moving ahead. Find out and discuss. How many official languages are listed in the Constitution? Answer is, currently there are 22 scheduled languages in India. Second, which institutions have been established by the Maharashtra state government for the further development of the Marathi language? Answer is, some institutions established by Maharashtra state government for the further development of Marathi language are: first one, Akhil Bhartiya Marathi Natya Parishad; second, Maharashtra Sahitya Parishad Pune; third, Rajya Marathi Vikas Sanstha; and fourth, Akhil Bhartiya Marathi Sahitya Mahamandal. I hope students, this much must be clear with everyone. Moving ahead, let's discuss, do you think that all the work of the government and the courts should be done in Marathi in Maharashtra? What should be done to do so? As per my opinion, all business of government and the courts in state of Maharashtra should be conducted in Marathi, because Marathi is the official language of Maharashtra and the mother tongue of most people in Maharashtra is Marathi, and they will be able to know and understand better the official business if it is conducted in Marathi. For this purpose, I would suggest that Government of Maharashtra should establish a separate department to undertake the translation of technical, official and legal terms in Marathi. I hope students, this question must be clear with everyone. So here students, we complete with our today's part of the video. So let's quick recap of what we have learned in our today's video. In this lesson, we have learned about the rights to freedom of religion and cultural and educational rights. Under right to freedom of religion, we have learned that each Indian citizen is free to practice any religion and to establish institutions for religious reasons. Under cultural and educational rights, it is provided to protect the language, script and culture and thereby preserve India's diversity. I hope students, this much must be clear with each and everyone. In our next video, we will be learning in detail about our next one, that is right to constitutional remedies, and we will be also learning about writs as constitutional remedies. Till the time, students, do take care of yourself, and thank you so much. A very good morning, dear children. I hope you all are fine and safe with your family. Students, today in Civics, we will be doing the continuity of our same lesson, that is lesson number 5, and name of the lesson is Fundamental Rights Part 2. The rights of Indian citizens which are included in the Constitution are right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, and right to constitutional remedies. Let's recap, students, what we have learned in our last video. As we all know, India is an important secular country in the world. We have learned in detail about right to freedom of religion and cultural and educational rights. According to right to freedom of religion, each Indian citizen is free to practice any religion. In cultural and educational rights, these rights are provided to protect the language, script and culture, and thereby preserve India's diversity. Today we will be learning in detail about right to constitutional remedies. In case of encroachment of fundamental rights, the Indian citizens' right to get judicial remedies is also a fundamental right. This is called the right to constitutional remedies. So what is called as right to constitutional remedies? In case of encroachment. Encroachment means what? The act of gradually taking away someone else's right or taking control of someone's time or work. Okay, so if such things happen, so in case of encroachment of fundamental rights, the Indian citizen's right to get judicial remedies is also fundamental right. So this thing is called as right to constitutional remedies. This means the Constitution itself has provided for legal remedies in case people rights get violated. Okay. So what it includes in this? If people's rights get violated, Constitution itself has provided for legal remedies in such cases. So it becomes a constitutional duty of the courts to protect the rights of the people. Okay, so whose duty it becomes? It becomes constitutional duty of the court. So it becomes the duty of the court to protect the rights of the people. Sometimes the rights that are guaranteed to us by the Constitution may get encroached upon and we are not able to exercise our rights. This is called as infringement of our rights. Sometimes what happens? Sometimes sometimes the rights that are guaranteed to us, okay, by the Constitution may get encroached upon. Okay, that means encroach upon means it means the act of gradually taking away someone's right. Okay, and because of that we are not able to exercise our rights. So this is called as infringement of our rights. Okay, we can also call it as violation. The court considers our complaint, investigates, and in case it is convinced that rights have indeed been infringed upon and injustice has been done to the aggrieved individual, the court gives an appropriate verdict. Okay, so what happens if it is done? The court considers our complaint, investigates it, and if it is found that the rights have indeed infringed upon, infringe means what? Violated, okay, and injustice is being done to the aggrieved individual, that time the court gives an appropriate verdict. Okay students, so I hope this much must be clear with everyone. Moving ahead. Some instances of infringement of rights: arresting an individual without reason, preventing a person from leaving a village or a town without giving a valid reason, and refusing food, water or medicines to jailed inmates. So here students, you can see some instances of infringement of rights. Moving ahead. Writs as constitutional remedies. Writs means what students? It means written court order. Okay. Now, courts have powers to issue various kinds of writs to protect the rights of the citizens. Okay. So, what court has? The court has powers. Okay. That they can issue various kinds of writs to protect the rights of the citizens. So, what are those writs? The first is habeas corpus. Second, mandamus. Third, prohibition. Fourth, quo warranto. And the last one is certiorari. Next. First one is habeas corpus. What it means? It means protection from unlawful arrest and detention. Second is mandamus. So what it means? The order of the courts, the Supreme Court or the High Court, commanding the government to perform an action that is duty to perform in public interest. So that is the meaning of mandamus. Next, prohibition. To prevent a subordinate court from exceeding its jurisdiction. And fourth, to restrain a person from acting in an office to which he is not entitled. And last, certiorari. It means to order the removal of a lawsuit from a subordinate court to a superior court. Is the reaction of this government official is right or wrong? An officer tells a woman who presents all the documents for getting the benefits of a scheme for destitute. Destitutes means what students? It means a needy person. Okay. You don't look like a destitute, and refuses her the benefits of the scheme. In this instance, do you think the woman's right has been infringed? That means violated. Where should she go to get redressal? Redressal means what? Which place she should go where she will get justice. So what should be an answer? The answer should be the reaction of this government official is incorrect. Incorrect means what students? It means not at all correct. Since the woman has presented all the documents pertaining to the scheme. This is encroachment of a fundamental right. She should move to court and lodge a complaint and seek constitutional remedy for infringement of her rights. Because the fundamental rights are thus protected by the courts, citizens are able to exercise their rights. They can fulfill their roles as alert, responsible and active citizens. While considering fundamental rights, we also need to remember our duties. In the next lesson, we shall study in detail about fundamental rights. So let's recap students what we have learned in our today's video. We have learned about right to constitutional remedies, and we have also learned in detail about writs as constitutional remedies, that is habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, quo warranto and certiorari. I hope students it must be clear to everyone what we have learned today. Just watch the video and you all can clear your doubts. Till the time, stay safe and thank you so much.